Hello team, welcome back to my channel, and let's do the mid-year freak out tag. Why can I freak out mid-year tag? Mid-year freak out tag. I should know it by now. This Bookwitchreviews is my channel, and I occasionally grace you all with my presence. And I, as I say with every YouTube video, would like to make more YouTube videos, so we are trying today. And I actually like these freak out tags. Also, I feel like I need to look over my reading because I have not read a lot. I have counted in for the fact that I haven't read a lot in like my yearly goal. Normally that's 100. This year it's literally 50 because I'm just kind of like, don't need that stress factor on top of the rest of my life. But I'm not behind, so that's something. But I haven't read a whole lot of favorites, and I'm surprised by it. So we're gonna change that hopefully in the second half of 2023. That's another thing. How are we more than halfway through the year? So if you would like to see yet another person do this tag, please sit yourself down, get some coffee. Mine is cold because that's who I've become. Not because it started out cold, it started out hot, but because I keep leaving it around. So I'm drinking cold coffee and it's not even iced. Who am I? Anyway, let's go ahead with the first question. If I can find the original creator, I will obviously tag them below as per usual. And then let's just get the show on the road because, yeah, let's do it. That made it sound like I didn't want to be here. I do. So the first question is favorite read of the year so far. And this came as a surprise. This is twofold because I obviously can't just pick one. One is pretty much predicted to be in my top 10 and the other one came out of nowhere. So first off, obviously, we have A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which is a adult fantasy book that I love with all of me. If you've ever been on Booktube before, or Bookstagram, or Book Talk, you will have heard about Priory of the Orange Tree, which is a sapphic, adult, sweeping, epic fantasy. And this is its prequel, and it is just as good. It is very different, but it is absolutely amazing, and I was swept up. It took me a little longer to get into than the first book, which seems like a surprise because a lot of people who apparently wasn't crazy about the pacing of the first book loved this one, and mine was a little bit of the opposite. But there's so many great characters in here and it was just absolutely wonderful. So this came as absolutely no surprise. And then this just snuck out in of nowhere. This is One for My Enemy by Olive Blake. It is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in modern day New York. We are following two rival witch families and they're fighting about drug turf, and it's stunning and beautiful. And like Olive Blake writes in this sort of not snobbish, there's another word for it. Olive Blake writes in like sweeping gestures. She has very flowery language. It's very, very snazzy. There's another word for it and I will find it once I've stopped talking about this book. But I love this. This book is still sitting inside of my brain, just staring me into the abyss, and I will continue thinking about it. And to be all honest, like, they're two very different 5-star reads and two very different favorites, but if you ask me which one that I would reread immediately, it would be this one, and I'm as surprised as you are. Second question is a favorite sequel, and I once again have two because one of them doesn't really feel like it counts. Also, obviously, A Day of Fallen Night sort of sneaks in under this because it's a prequel, not a sequel, but it was still a favorite. But this is another prequel that I really loved. This is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. It comes out in November of this year. This is an art copy that I was very generously given by Pan Macmillan Black Crow PR. And this is the prequel to Legends and Lattes, which is a cozy fantasy adventure following the orc Viv as she sets out to open a coffee shop. And this is the prequel of her, I believe. I kept thinking that it was like 20 years before, but I think it's more like 10. And it follows her as she's still in her orc mercenary days, and she ends up in this sort of weird little seaside town that, oh god, it's marvelous. It's another 5-star. I really enjoyed it. It's very different from Legends and Lattes, but it was one of those where it was just like, I enjoyed it so much. Then I also finally read Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell, which is the sequel to Winter's Orbit, which is a sci-fi political intrigue sort of like series. I'm hoping that there are more books because I loved both the first one and this one. This was so good. I devoured it. I only have it as an ebook currently because I had it as an e-arc. I know, okay, don't judge me. I was meant to read it a long time ago, but I'm so happy that I did. It was absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend the whole series. It's also so queer, super queer. I think I might like this better than the first one. Third question is a release that you are excited for but have not yet read, and I have quite a few. But one of them is definitely The Adventures of Amina El-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, who wrote City of Brass, which is one of my favorite sort of magical realism fantasy trilogies that have come out in the later years. I have a lot of new favorites, but this is one that like it sticks in there. It's beautiful and amazing and atmospheric, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about this one. We also have a middle-aged protagonist. She used to be some sort of pirate queen, and now she has retired, but she gets brought out of retirement by one of her previous crew who needs her help with, I think, finding her son or finding her daughter or something like that. And it just, one, also this is a stunning Fairy Loot edition, but two is the fact that I cannot wait to read this, and I don't know why I haven't yet, because my reading is taking its toll on me. My life is taking its toll on me, not my reading, but it's impacting the reading. Fifth book is a book that surprised you, and I am one with the hype on this one. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I enjoyed this so much. This was just such a fun romp. Like, was it the most ingenious writing I've ever read? No. Was it like a new plot? Was it like anything like super experimental? No, but it was fun, and it was daring, and it was adventurous, and it was spicy, and it was just a really good time. And I honestly, like, I'm trying to obviously get the Fairy Loot special edition, which is why I haven't bought just a regular edition yet, but I enjoyed this book so much. Like, I really did. And it came as a surprise. Fourth Wing follows Violet Sorrengal, who in a fantasy world is joining up to this military academy. Her mother is the general of said academy, and she's meant to go in as a scribe. However, her mother changes that and sends her in as a dragon rider. And it is not soft, fluffy bonding dragons. It's dragons that will eat any rider that they don't feel are up to the task of being a dragon rider. And Violet has a disability. She has, I think it's Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which I believe that the author has confirmed. Is that the right word? Yes, it is. Anyway, she's not as strong as everyone else, but she finds ways around that. And this was just fun. It was fun, and I can't wait for the rest of it. So question 6 is a new to you author or debut author that you have read this year, and I've read a little bit weirdly, but I'm sort of just gonna sneak in here Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb, because I've read Goldilocks by L.R. Lamb a while back, and I didn't love that as much as I anticipated I would, but I feel like if I read it again I might. But I really enjoyed this, and I feel like it's just gonna be like their new fantasy era, and I'm gonna immensely enjoy it. This is another adult fantasy. This one is sort of split between several perspectives. It's mainly two perspectives of a young non-binary thief trying to get ahead in life, and the last male dragon who gets dragged into a world that they were previously banished from, and they get tied together, and it's really, really, really great, and I highly recommend it. And it's another one that I just need to pick up a copy of because I read it as an yes. Question 7 is book that disappointed, and I have a few, but the one I'm mainly disappointed in is A Master of Jinn by Pete L.G. Clarke. This was still a good book, but this was like a 3-star for me, and going into it I fully thought that it was going to be a 5-star. I thought it was going to be a new favorite book, and it was just not what I expected, and I'm really sad about it. This one is set in like our world, but 1920s Cairo, but jinns are real and have been brought into our world like 50 years before, something like that. And we are following Fatma, who is a detective with the government, and she's trying to solve a murder. and I wanted to love this so bad, and I just didn't. It's even super queer, and I am just sad about it. And then another one that also sadly disappointed is Modern Divination by Isabel Ashajanian. This was a hype buy. I also absolutely bought it for the cover because the cover is stunning, but this fell flat for me. This is like a 2-star. And then I feel like I'm being generous. I usually get meaner. I get meaner the further away the book is from me, because then the like enjoyment that I took out of it is further away. I also like 4 stars that weren't quite 5 stars. I think back on, and then I'm like, no, it was a 5-star for me, and then I go back and change it. But this is a contemporary fantasy. It sort of has vibes of Dark Academia, but not quite. We're following a witch whose green magic is sort of disappearing, and her academic rival who brings her to this place after another one of their classmates is killed. And I wanted to love this. Sometimes the writing is really amazing in here, but it's also, I think, overwritten in quite a lot of places. And I think it went on for too long, and the plot got lost, I think, in the sort of the experimentation of it. Am I saying experimentation too much? Possibly. In the plot got lost in the execution, and I'm quite sad about it. And we have the question that I never quite can answer, and it is new fictional crush. And I don't really get crushes on book characters, so I can put it together with the next question, which is new favorite character, and that would be Tunava from A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. She is a middle-aged warrior woman who is also a lesbian in a committed relationship, and I adored her. She just has this very like calm energy, and I adored her, and I guess if I'm crushing on anyone, it would be her. Okay, 10th question is a book that made you cry, and it was my first 5-star read of the year. I also think it was my first read of the year. Was it my first read of the year? I can't remember. And that is the teeny tiny short story of The 6 Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow. Alex E. Harrow also wrote Once and Future Witches, which I adore with my whole being. This little ebook is on Amazon. It's 30 pages long, and it is amazing. It packs such a punch. It's so incredible, and we are following a girl who, can't explain this, I feel like I'm gonna spoil it. It's also so short that you should just read it like immediately. Like, you can stop this video and read it and then come back here and then we can talk about it. And yeah, it made me cry a little bit. Yeah, it did. Question 11 is a book that made me laugh, and I haven't laughed a whole lot. I did laugh at Bookshops and Bone Dust because it's like silly funny. Also laughs at The Grimoire of Grain Faints, which is a collection of short stories by a whole host of fantasy authors that I enjoy. It is also edited by Hannah Alcaff and Margaret Owen. This is it's one story set in a magic school scene from several different students, and these students are all trying to solve the murder of a professor at the school. It's super modern, and it did make me laugh in a good couple of places. It's obviously set in modern day, and yeah, magical school, and it's funny and diverse, and I highly recommend it. And yeah, it's also funny. I think I said funny too many times there. Next question is most beautiful books you've received this year, and I have quite a few. So I'm obviously subscribed to Illumicrate and to the Adult Fairy Loot, and I have gotten a lot of really, really stunning like special editions this year. But the one that takes the cake for me is obviously the Illumicrate special editions of Pride of the Orange Tree. Is this whole video just a love letter to Samantha Shannon? Yeah, of course it is. Also, have you seen the 10th anniversary edition of the Bone Season? Because it's stunning. But we have sprayed edges, we are extra yellow, we have end paper art, and then we got a dragon. And A Day of Fallen Night is just as stunning. Like, oh, I love this. And I could pull so many books off of my shelves right now and be like, look at this stunning book, and they're all pretty. But we're just gonna go with this one. Last but not least is 6 books you would like to read before the end of the year. And obviously I have more than 6 that I would like to read, but these are the ones that I'm like, no, I must. And most of them are sequels. Here we go. So first off, I would really love to read Simon Jimenez, The Spear Cuts Through Water. It's meant to be a weird sci-fi, and I love weird sci-fi. Also something about like a god walking the earth, and it has to go somewhere, and so it needs a guide. I want to read it. Next we have The River Has Teeth by Erica Waters. This is meant to be sort of creepy, foresty vibes. It's set in our world, but something weird is happening, and I've had this book for not so long. I got it at Yale. I've had this book for a while, but I've been looking at it for a long time, and I really just want to read it. To the sequels, first off, we have Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the sequel to Legendborn, which is an absolutely amazing YA contemporary fantasy that is a retelling of King Arthur, but with a black female main character, and it's amazing and wonderful, and you should read it today. And I really want to read this. I really want to reread the other one, and then I want to read this. We have The Battle Drum by Sahal Arifi, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. This is the sequel to The Final Strife, which was my favorite book of last year, and I'm surprised I haven't read it yet, but I'm also scared for my own feelings. This is Arabic African inspired fantasy, and it's amazing. Next we have Painted Devils by Margaret Owen. This is the sequel to Little Thieves, which was my favorite book of 2021. I can't wait for this. I also know it's gonna hurt my feelings a lot, and I'm not prepared for that. And then last but not least, I really want to read The Faithless by C.L. Clarke, which is the sequel to The Unbroken, which was another one of my favorites from 2021. And yeah, all of these, I'm holding off on reading them, and I don't know why, because I really need some more 5 stars in my reading wrap up of this year, because currently they're just sort of averaging. But that is it. And obviously I drank 0 of my coffee while I talked for 22 minutes. So that is it. That is the mid-year freakout tag from me. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is going to be a vaguely longish video, so I hope that you're still here, and if you aren't, then don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe button at the same time so you don't miss out on any other videos from me. You can also click the little bell, which gives you a notification when I put up a new video, and I swear I am trying to. Will I ever succeed? I don't really know. And also, if this video actually sees the light of day, I'm generally surprised, but I hope that you're doing good. I hope that you've had a nice reading year so far, and then I'll see you all soon. I'm proud of you, and you're doing great.